construction work on the so-called Alligator Alcatraz in Florida must stop. That's according to a temporary restraining order that was just issued by a federal judge in Florida against the Trump administration. Now, this order does not mean that the facility located in the Florida Everglades has to stop operating, and it does not mean that the federal government cannot house migrants there. No. What this order says is for the next 2 weeks, construction at that facility cannot continue while this case continues on. The judge said her order prevents the Trump administration and officials in Florida from doing any more filling, paving, installing additional infrastructure, and said no additional lighting fixtures can be added. See, the judge issued this temporary restraining order not because of an immigration issue. She ordered it because of an environmental issue. An environmental group called the Friends of the Everglades, along with the Miccosukee tribe, sued the Trump administration and officials in Florida over the facility. The tribe argues the so-called Alligator Alcatraz is located in the Everglades, and it is actually part of Florida's Big Cypress National Preserve. And they say the proximity to the tribe's villages, sacred and ceremonial sites, traditional hunting grounds, and other lands protected by the tribe raises significant concerns about environmental degradation. The environmental groups say the Trump administration did not follow proper environmental laws, nor did they conduct an environmental impact review prior to the construction of the facility. So they say it needs to go. They say having thousands of detainees and possibly thousands more poses serious threats to the sensitive Everglade ecosystem, endangers the wildlife that lives there, including Florida panthers, and they say it causes problems for clean drinking water and dark night skies. The federal government and Florida officials say any environmental concerns are just being blown way out of proportion. They say construction work and any potential environmental effects from it have been minimal. At a hearing in federal court today, the Trump administration and the state of Florida refused to voluntarily commit to just not doing any more building on the site while the case plays out. So the federal judge said, okay, bet, and slapped a restraining order on them that legally prevents them from doing any more construction on the facility for the next 14 days. So why 14 days? Well, because next week there is another hearing where the state will present its witnesses in this case. And depending on what happens at that hearing, we may be getting a final ruling from this judge. But you know, regardless of how this Florida federal judge rules in the end, the side that loses will absolutely appeal. It's also worth noting there are several other lawsuits currently making their way through the courts to stop the use of Alligator Alcatraz because of immigration and due process concerns.